You're watching the Adventist Asia Podcast, the official podcast of the Southern Asia Pacific Division headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
And the Lord said, I've set you apart.
Now we have a church in that care group.
We're bringing you inspirational stories and insightful interviews from across our diverse region. Hear from our church leaders, mission pioneers, and everyday believers as they share their journeys of faith and service.
In the process, she was baptized.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and X for updates and behind-the-scene glimpses. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube and never miss an episode. On this episode of the Adventist Asia Podcast, we're joined by Edward Rodriguez, a seasoned communication professional and a key voice of the Adventist Church in the Southern Asia Pacific region. As a senior writer for the division and an assistant director for communications, Edward brings a wealth of experiences and insights to our conversation. We'll delve into the exciting world of Adventist communications in this region, exploring the unique challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. You know, you are the first one at the beginning of this season in the new studio. Oh, not new studio, sorry. In the new set.
Yeah. Looks new.
Okay, yes. You know, this has been a long time planning with the team, and so we're happy for season 2.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And last season was more on looking into the mission of our church. And so now we're talking with some of our workers and leaders here at our division to kind of see what's at our core, what makes us Adventists, what makes us part of the mission, what encourages us for this type of work. So I'm really happy, Ed, that you took the time today. I know that you know the importance of getting out this inspiration to our members out in the field.
Just something to say, Tones. I'm also glad to be here. I pray that you'll continue moving on forward with this programming, and a lot of people will be inspired to be part of the mission as well.
Yeah. You know, we do work together.
Right.
We've been working together for a long time, actually. You know, even, you know, if we're going to take down memory lane.
That was like 2010.
Ed. That's enough, Ed.
That was 2010.
Yeah, yes.
I can remember.
I can remember that too. I think I was working with the youth back then.
We have different lives.
Yeah,
but we were in the mission.
Yes, correct. And somebody said, "Hey, can you come over here and lead out with what do you call this? Like a host?"
All right. I think the first time we collaborated was in Hope Channel, and we worked with Sabbath School Lesson.
Oh, is the Sabbath School Lesson?
Yeah.
Really?
That was with ICE, and I don't know if you know who I'm mentioning, but yeah, it was with ICE and
Charles Vim.
Yes.
And it really was Sabbath school. Okay, I thought it was with Pastor Brian. And maybe I'm getting too old now, bro.
Maybe.
There you go. But I remember they pulled me in there. I'm like, I don't talk, right?
But that was I Dream Days.
Yeah, I Dream Days. Yeah, back when we were, but I was still doing some independent ministries or supporting ministries. But I never really thought that was for me. Oh, I mean, like I had the courage to be a host or even talk on. But irony, here we are.
Who would have thought during those days, young people will be leading out the Sabbath School Lesson?
Yeah, and all of a sudden, here we are. Still working together.
Right.
So I'm really happy, Ed. Well, enough about between you and me here. Ed, share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your family life, and what makes you happy.
Just to start off, in relation to my work, I'm a graduate of commerce. not what you expected of me working in the field of communication and writing. But yeah, I started my career as an office worker. I graduated commerce, and I never thought that I'll be ending up in the communication work. And I never even thought of working in the denomination at the first place. So ideally speaking, I wanted to have a life for myself, for my family. I wanted to have a car, my own business, traveling abroad and other stuff. But life has a different turn, and here I am. There are several things that happen in my life, pretty much heavy challenges physically, but I think it was all part of God's plan, long life plan for me. And it was just a blessing to know that surrendering your life to God led me to where I am right now. I'm not saying that I'm successful, I'm rich or whatsoever, but I feel contented. I feel happy with the responsibilities I have, the the mission that God has called me to be a part of, and I'm looking forward for more. Working with friends, other people, new people who are part of the mission in different parts of the world. That makes me really excited and looking forward for more about what God has in store for me.
How did you get called? Like, when you and I first met, I think,
Right.
were you just part of Hope Channel at that time when you and I first met?
Well, I started as my wife and I started
Yeah.
as a volunteer in Hope Channel back in 2011, actually 2011. Well, just a little backstory. I got sick, all right, and I was working as a professional since 2006 until 2010. I was working as a professional, a lot of things that I wanted to have in my mind, but like what I've said, I got sick, and after that, my wife and I decided to dedicate our lives into mission works. So we don't know anyone in church. I don't know you. I don't know any pastor or anyone. I'm just a local church boy. And so here we are. We receive a random text message from Pastor June Bautista.
Yeah.
And then he invited us to be part of a program if I can remember it correctly, Let's Talk by Pastor Jan Paulsen. Yeah, it was recorded here. And then that's when we saw the church work in a different perspective outside of the local church. So we get to work with other young people in different parts of the Philippines. And then after that, 2011, we receive after dedicating our lives in prayer, surrendering our lives because I got sick. I received a random text message from one pastor in North Philippines, and I don't know how, because I didn't give out my cell phone number or I didn't apply for any position, but I did receive a text message. My wife and I were invited to be a script writer for Hope Channel. So we went there. They said the post is already filled. So back home. And then when we arrived home, again, we received a text message and said, the people who were supposed to be filling out the position backed out. So we need you back. So we went back. The next day, turned to forever, and here we are.
I see.
So
Interesting.
cheesy.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, for me, my view on it, knowing that at that time you guys were volunteers.
Yeah.
It's not like it was a full-time job.
Yeah.
This is.
So we're not part of the plantilla.
Yeah, correct.
We're not part of any organization.
Correct.
We're just working freely
it's
as volunteers.
And you got to this point because of what, like a calling or
Right. I think it's a calling.
It was a dedication that you were giving back.
It's more of a surrender.
Okay.
Because for me, if you're going to ask me to choose a career, I probably would like to work outside. But life had a different turn. God impressed us so much of what we can possibly do in the mission field. So I think surrendering our lives to God, not knowing about what the future holds, and then just enjoying the moment of being part of the work. I think that's what led us to be part of the mission.
Interesting, because sometimes we think that this is like a career thing,
Right.
I mean, I'm talking like perspectives of some of those that I've had conversations with,
Right.
like, and I even last year, a lot of the podcast stories that we receive or that we have with our directors is we never had the thought that God would lead
Right.
us this far. You're probably like me, and you wonder what the other Adventists are doing in our region, how they share the love of Jesus where they are. I'm always looking for inspirational stories like that. That's why I frequent Adventist.Asia. That's where I find the latest news from the mission field. It's also my go-to when it comes to Adventist resources that cater to the Southern Asia Pacific context. Did you know that you can also get the Adventist Asia stories straight into your inbox? Just sign up for the newsletter and receive regular updates on the mission work here in the Southern Asia Pacific Division. Go to Adventist.Asia for real-time, up-to-date news and resources, or sign up for the newsletter so you can get inspirational stories straight to your inbox. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, Ed, that's an amazing story of how you felt called or God was leading your life, especially you and your wife's life. It
Right.
felt like it was just your life. It's your whole family. Now that you find yourself here as one of the leaders with Adventist Communications, what's now your view on mission?
At first, I started a local church boy. Work is more on programs. I mean, keeping up with the weekly programs that you need to make so that the church members will be blessed. But being part of a much greater or bigger organization, sphere of influence, if I may say, you see that the needs that you trying to provide in a local context has a much greater impact if you try to reach out more and more people in different places where the mission of the church hasn't reached yet. And here I am. I'm trying to reach people through not through preaching or creating videos, because that's not my skill. But God has called me to write stories, to create narratives that will help people understand more about the mission of the church in different contexts and different perspectives within the 11 countries of the Southern Asia Pacific Division, or this territory. It's quite challenging because what works for the Philippines doesn't work for Indonesia. What works for Filipinos doesn't work for Thai. And you need to find a way in such a way that people can understand and comprehend the message that we have without crossing boundaries, hurting people, or making it, if I may say, palatable to the spiritual needs of people who's hearing the message or reading the message.
Do you have like a philosophy or some type of point of view that you use when you're writing for the mission or trying to get that message out there of what the church is doing? Is there some type of philosophy that keeps you going or focused on, let's say, storytelling? Is there some type of philosophy that moves you?
Well, I think one of the encouragement that helps me when I'm writing my stories is that I try to see in the perspective of how is this message going to be a blessing, not only to a certain group of people, but within the people in our territory. That's quite difficult because we have this, well, here in the Philippines, it's quite convenient. Doing ministry is quite convenient. It's quite easy. But in some parts of the division, there are certain things that you need to consider before saying words such as evangelize or reach out or baptize and other stuff. So for me, my philosophy is that the message that we have here in the Philippines needs to reach out to other parts of the world. However, we need to find a way to contextualize that so that people can understand and comprehend who Jesus is in the culture, in the community that they belong. So that's quite a challenge. I have writers as well because I'm not only the one writing, and I need to encourage also my co-writers, my counterparts, that they too may write in the perspective of a global perspective, not only in the local perspective. I wanted to encourage them that the Adventist church is not a local church. It's a global church. It's a community of believers wherein we need to help each other, to bless each other, to inspire each other, and at the same way go outside of the boundaries of the church so that those who have not heard about the gospel will also get to know who Jesus is.
So basically, you're saying that part of your work as storytelling with your co-writers, there's an essence of inspiration or building the pride of being Adventist, so that they become encouraged to be Adventist in their local communities. Right?
And here's the thing: being an Adventist is not, well, I'm not saying that doctrines and theology is not important. That's part of it, and that has to be embedded in the stories that we're trying to say. But we are trying to share it also in different contexts through inspiration and stories happening in other people's lives.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of who we are identity-wise as a church, meaning doctrines and the Adventist belief, but it also has to be a story in a way that people can relate and understand what we are trying to say based on the doctrines that we have.
Knowing that, Ed, that you have this, well, maybe we can call it responsibility, or you have influence over this. Is there like aside from the challenges, are there like new strategies or new ideas that you want to bring, or that you're trying to bring to the table to encourage our writers to become more involved?
Let me give you a little context about myself first. When I joined Hope Channel, I'm more of I was a script writer. I still write, but I'm more into directing. You know me. I want this. I run. I keep the timer. I do this and do that. I'm all around. I mean, you can see me roaming around the studio. But when I was in the communication in SSD, I was called to be a writer. So it's two different personalities. A person is just, you know, you say a lot of things, you shout this and that, and then being a writer, which is you go into one place, you focus on what you're writing, you don't want any noise because you wanted to focus. That's a complete opposite of who I used to be. And that's quite difficult. There's a lot of learning curve, learning experience. I don't know if God is trying to shut me up. You're talking too much, or there's a learning behind that experience. But I think one of the things that I have learned, and I want to impart to other aspiring writers who are out there, is that I think the first thing that you need to do is just to surrender your skills and your life to God. I can attest that I don't have any background in writing. I don't have formal background in writing. Maybe the writing background that I have was when I was in high school. I joined the journalism class in school. But other than that, I don't know why I'm here. But I can say that the Lord has equipped me. The first thing that you need to do is just surrender. In the church context, we've been calling a lot of people to be in a certain position, which they have speciality or expertise. Yeah. However, if we try to get that inside the church, the reality is sometimes we don't have enough budget to pay them.
Yes, yeah.
Right. And so we call in for volunteers. We call in for missionary workers who then are being equipped eventually from experience. You know, I have friends who started with just rolling the cable when they were in Hope Channel, and now they're editing. So I'm just amazed how the Lord works and how He has equipped me, how He has enabled me with certain responsibilities that I'm not capable of before, but now here I am. So I think that's the first one. Just surrender your lives to God. And then the second one is don't stop learning. Challenge yourself, keep on writing, explore things, and never get tired of trying things. Ask, learn, watch, read. These are just I hate reading, so I'm more into watching. So these are the things that somehow has helped me and has developed my skills over the years, from writing stories, from writing scripts, from writing reports and narratives. All of these things, I think I utter it through experience and God's leading.
Okay. You know, listening to your personal experiences there and the motives that you have, especially hearing, you know, where you bring excellence into this. You said, you know, you want to bring yourself to, you know, become better at what you're doing. But the thing is, it's God that's been supplying you with this. Of course, I know you had the opportunities. You've been studying, you've been reading up on things, even though you don't like to read, you said. But all those things account for that excellence in you. Where do you see the output of this? And what I mean by this is that you're building up all this expertise in you through the experience that you're having. You get to go around the division. What impact do you think this will have, say, in the future? Are you only writing for now? Or is this something that you think is going to be something of value 10 years from now?
Yeah, that's the beauty about our work. Not only in writing, but in media productions. Sometimes we make content for this generation, but little do we know, even when we're gone, it will create an impact to people in the future. I try to write stories for the benefit of people now, But I'm praying that the message that it entails, it carries the message even into the future, that people who reads the content that we have, whether it be in social media or websites or printed page, it will continue to create a ripple of effect to people's lives, even though we are gone. And the inspiration that we have left, because again, we cannot be here the rest of our lives. There needs to be someone who'll be replacing us in the future. But regardless of who happens to be the leaders in the future, we are praying that whatever it is that we have done, it will leave a mark in their lives, a legacy that they too will replicate what we have done, or even amplify it even more, so that they too can inspire the future generations of the church, preparing more people for heaven.
Yes. I mean, I also see it from another perspective, bro, that, if I know that we had this conversation. I'm trying to remember the conversation. It's like, you and I were talking one time, and it's like, we can go up to a certain point of history,
Right.
and like, we don't know what happened. Like we're so oblivious, and we have no. If we have a source of inspiration, we go to to the black and white pages of 1900. Oh, so and so said this, but it's not lately. I'm talking about our division. Lately, we've become more consistent. Through your work, of course. That I see that in the next 5-10 years, we have something to look back, especially those who will be writing for us in the future. Like, what happened before? What were their strategies? And you've done a great and amazing job of compiling the important stories that are happening here.
Tony, thank you for that, but I cannot take all the credit, because I have amazing writers in the field. And I tell you, there are 11 countries in the division. I cannot be in 11 countries at the same time. And if not for these people who've been helping me in the background, providing me with these stories, gathering all the information in the field, and then sharing the stories that's happening in their local regions, we cannot put out anything on our website, or we cannot share anything to the public. So I am grateful that we have an amazing group of writers in the field. They too have no background in writing, I tell you. They too have no background in writing, but we help each other. We encourage each other. We inspire each other. They try the best that they can to contribute to the work. And I'm just so grateful that these young people, these writers are so committed, not because it's part of their work, but because they have passion in writing as well. So kudos to all of you who've been contributing to the church. Not only in it's so amazing to know that it's not only those who are working the church who contribute, but even lay people, church members who wanted to share the story in their local churches. They share it with us, and I think that's what the church needs right now, more than the politics and other stuff. They need something that will inspire them and help them grow more in Jesus.
That's right. That's right. Ed, you have been, you've done a lot of traveling per se, as part of your work, because you have to document these things and be present. Do you have a highlight from this past year where you saw Christ, or you saw the mission on fire?
Right.
Is there an experience that you had that you could share with us?
Well, I was in Timor-Leste a few weeks ago. My main purpose there was, it's been a long due project. They've been inviting us because the church in Timor-Leste is a small population versus over a million population, and the church in Timor-Leste is young. They just started, and they're growing. They're continuously growing. However, the pioneers of the church are growing really fast. I mean, aging really fast. So we need to document those stories. So I got the chance to visit Timor-Leste and interview one of the pioneers. When you are with pioneers, I remember the story of Desmond Doss, when Terry Benedict once interviewed him. It's not yet the Hacksaw Ridge movie. It was a regular documentary, and I was picturing that imagery while we were doing the interview, and it was so encouraging to see how the commitment of one policeman, not even a pastor, one policeman, his commitment to start a church in Timor-Leste ended up to where it is right now, more than 800 membership. For some, 800 is not a huge number, but for them, with the challenges that they have grown so much from small beginnings, from the commitment of lay people to numbers of pastors and church members there, helping each other to make the church grow in that place, to share the gospel in that place. So it might not be a big or extravagant story if we hear it in the Philippines, but to them, it's something that inspires them because they saw how the Lord has worked from the beginning until now.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of story I think most people around the world in our church would like to hear, especially those who have not started an Adventist church in their territory. And hopefully that story, when we put it out, can be an inspiration to you as well.
Yeah. It seems, well, of course, we know the challenges that we have in the field, as you were saying earlier. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And these countries, well, for some of us, I think you said it earlier, it's easy to do things here in the Philippines, right? But when we talk about Christianity as a way of life, it might not be open or applicable to every part of Southern Asia Pacific.
Right.
Maybe right now, bro, there are some people who are tuned in. You know, they may know you, they may not know us, but maybe they feel compelled that maybe they also want to write or be part of the community that contributes to documenting the mission of the church. Do you have any thoughts for them, or how they could start, or how they could support the church as well in documenting these stories?
You know, what I started just recently was I started writing my own, not a diary, but more of a
Journal?
Yeah. And I started small with that because I wanted just to record everything that the Lord has bestowed upon me every single day, from small things to big things. And I think that's a good start for you guys watching. And maybe you have started your own journals or diaries even. But don't stop. Continue doing so. Let this be a reminder of how the Lord has been good to you. Record it. And it's not only about recognizing how the Lord has been good, but it's a way for you to develop your skills in writing. And who knows, with the skills that you have in writing, when somebody taps you and make a narrative or a report or a story coming from your field, it will be an inspiration for those people who are going to read it, especially if you put it on social media. The goal in writing is not to have it published in ANN. The goal of writing is not to have it published in your website to gather, audience and like your story or page. The goal why you're right is because you wanted to inspire. The first and top priority is not because I wanted to create a name for myself and have it published in all the Advent. It's good. I don't say it's not good. It's good. But I hope that will not be your motivation for you to write your stories. Your motivation is because God has called you to be a writer. God has called you to share the stories to the field because a lot of people are looking forward to those stories. And I pray that regardless if the reservation says I'm not good in grammar or I'm not good in sentence structure. I came from that as well, and even now I'm still learning. I still have a lot of things to learn, but that should not stop you. There are a lot of tools right now that are helpful for you to develop your writing skills and help you to develop your structure or format. So I think we don't have any reason right now to not to write, whether it be personal or for your church or for a greater number of audience. But start writing. Give it a try. Writing is not for everyone, but you will never know unless you try it. So give it a try, dedicate your lives to God, and then look for someone who can help you develop your writing even more, because you always need a third eye, a second eye to look over your articles. Tony here, whatever it is that I write, he checks it. and he tries to, because we write for different groups of people, and when I write, sometimes I write for the church, and then he contextualizes it for the young people, for the millennials, for the social media. It's a way wherein we can help each other. It's a way that we can develop the work even more. Don't be sad if your article came in red. It's an opportunity for you to grow, and it's an opportunity for us to collaborate and grow even more for a higher excellence of work for the Lord.
Amen. Where can people find our output, or the things that you've written, the articles and the stories and the social media stuff? Where can they get access to those things?
Come visit our website, news.adventist.asia, and to stay updated to all the things that is happening, not only on our website, but also to our newsletter, Adventist News, Adventist Asia newsletter. We'll be showing you the QR code or the website wherein you can subscribe so that you'll be updated in everything that's happening around this division. Yeah. So support.
Yeah. And on that, Ed, you can find resources there,
right.
The latest stories that are coming out. I think some of our media productions can be found there. And go check it out. Actually, subscribe.
Subscribe, yes.
Actually, subscribe. Not check it out, but go to our website or to our Facebook channel and subscribe to that.
Right.
Ed, you have been an inspiration to many of us here. Your life, seeing how God has been working through your life in many ways, and seeing the work that you do brings testimony to who God is.
Amen.
Right. And so I thank you for that, Ed. I thank you for for the opportunity that you have given to us to work together, to collaborate. That's the word I want to say. Because of our collaboration, we're able to, the insufficiencies that we may have, build up something that's bigger. It's a synergy. And sometimes I think it's a one-man show, or it's you need to know everything. But in reality, God calls us together to collaborate, to find ways to help each other where maybe our insecurities or the things that we fall short of, there's someone else on our team that can lift that up, can benefit to that. So, and I know there's so much more that we can bring to the table here. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have another podcast with you. I really want to dig deeper into the structure and the context of storytelling that brings influence to people. And probably maybe in the next podcast, we'll find time to get that together.
It was fun to be here, Tony. It's a nice way to just pause for a while and just, share stories, reminisce things, and then see how the Lord has been good to us.
Yes.
I pray that, of course, this podcast will continue to reach out for more people, inspire more people, bring people to a knowledge of who God is. And I pray for you. I pray for the whole staff, for the whole team, that whatever it is that we produce here will bring glory and honor to God's name.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Till the next time. See you guys.